Well, hello there, and welcome to day 7 of A Film a Day with me, Jordan Woodley. Business first. So, now that I have completed my first week of films, I have started to notice that my running time has slowly been creeping up over the week. So, I'm going to make a concerted effort to try and make this video particularly short because storage is limited and frankly, if my videos are getting longer, it only means I'm rambling. So, for conciseness, short video. Which helps for this film, because I don't think I'll have a great deal to say. So, this is Netflix's The Midnight Sky, a film directed by and starring George Clooney. It also features David Oyelowo and Felicity Jones. This was not a film I particularly was on board with, I must say. It's a sci-fi... Well, it is a sci-fi, but it's the most sci-fact sci-fi film that I've seen in quite some time in terms of... the plot is primarily set in 2049 and follows George Clooney, a dying man who is I believe he's an astronomer or a scientist who's obsessed with space and finding habitable planets. When we meet him, he's an old man and he's dying, and the world is dying. We see a huge evacuation of people, and it's clear that whatever world this is a ravaged world, which is never fully explained what caused it, but it has something involving ionizing radiation. Now, while he's by himself, there's also a plot going on with David Oyelowo and Felicity Jones, who are amongst a crew of people flying back from a planet called K23, which is a moon of Jupiter, which is a habitable colony who are coming back to Earth. And George Clooney essentially wants to warn them not to come back because they can't come back to the ravaged Earth. As I said, I really didn't click with this film. And most of this video, I really want to sort of ponder why that is. Admittedly, this is my first George Clooney directed film. I did want to see Monument Men some years ago, but for one reason and another, I didn't get round to it. And that might not be the reason, because, you know, I think he does have a visual style, and I definitely can see what kind of narrative he's really trying to explore. It might be a me thing in terms of, I don't think I find very straightforward, hard science fiction particularly engaging. I was thinking of films that are quite similar, like The Martian, I suppose, would be the closest equivalent that I've seen in recent years. But what I like about The Martian, possibly, is in Matt Damon's character. He really, you know, the large section you follow him, you know, he kind of has a wit about him and a humour, and you can really sort of follow his objective. Whereas George Clooney is going for a much more dour and serious performance. And there are layers in it, but I just found it very heavy and very, very hard to get through. The space shuttle stuff just wasn't my kind of sci-fi. I think I prefer things that veer towards sci-fi horror or sci-fantasy. So in the one category you might say something like Alien, which I absolutely adore, and in the other category something like Star Wars, which whereas I think something like this, I just don't think I find the mechanics of spatial travel particularly interesting for me. I really did struggle with it. Like The Martian, this is based on a book called Good Morning or Midnight, I believe is the title. And I can see the bookishness elements in it. It really does feel like it's a very heavy character piece. And you can see how a story like that is very, in the literary sense, would be very character-centric and would be in the minds of people. But I just don't think it translates in the way to cinema that it was very internalised. And the other film that I sort of started to compare it to was First Man. Now, I do think First Man is a good film, and I think it really has a strong narrative, but again, I found First Man quite a hard sit. And the problem with this film is its length. It is 2 hours long, and considering it is mostly characters having very gentle conversations, or a character thinking alone with his thoughts, it's a long sit. But the cast is good, and they really do give good performances, you know, particularly George Clooney. It's funny, really, I always thought George Clooney would have of the films that I've seen of his, you know, of course I've seen things like the Ocean's films, I've seen films like Gravity, which I think he's excellent in, but what I realised is I've never actually seen like a career best from him. And that's not because he probably hasn't got one, it's probably because simply I need to delve more into George Clooney's serious drama work. So that's probably something else I will put on one of my numerous lists is to watch more of his back catalogue. But yeah, I found it a very, very hard watch, and I'm hoping I've not kept this video too long saying how much I dislike a film, because I don't think that's fair. I think it's just not for me. So, thank you again for joining me. Maybe tomorrow I'll choose something that I know I will love, just to balance things out. We'll see. And I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks.